KnoItAllz Nation, thanks for tapping into our Saturday morning discussion on JAG2G, just a guy and two geniuses. One of our geniuses hasn't made it yet, if he's even going to make it, but that's all right. Myself and Steven got enough brain power to hold the discussion anyway. Well, if not brain power, enough opinions anyway, right? We're full of opinions.
Definitely enough opinions for sure.
Steven, what's up with you, man? How you doing this Saturday morning, bro?
Good morning, man. I'm doing all right. Long work week. Nice to have a nice little block out where we can just decompress and talk about some stuff.
Man, it's Saturday, November 1st.
Yeah.
I don't know how it was when you were younger. Like this, and it's not like that now because I'm grown and have been for obviously a long time now, pay my own bills and stuff like that. But this was heat day. This was the day we were allowed to cut on the heat. November 1st. My mama growing up, you don't touch that thermostat. Heat don't go on until November 1. It's cold. You better bundle up. You better put on a hoodie. You better put you on a little warm-up jacket or something like that.
Okay.
That was a thing growing up, man.
So, I was mostly, my grandfather I grew up with my grandfather. So there were rules like that in the house, but it wasn't with the heat. He grew up like really poor. So like cold, yeah. He had terrible memories about winter. So he would turn on the heat as soon as it got to about 50, 60 degrees. He would turn on the heat. But the air conditioning, Kevin, we were made to suffer. So it had to be like 80 degrees outside before air conditioning would get turned on. It was crazy.
I'm always the opposite of that, man. How are you? Like I'd much rather be a little chilled than I would be hot.
Thank you. I do not. My heat has not been turned on yet. I just put on a hoodie if I'm a little bit chilly in the apartment. If it gets really cold, I'll turn on a little bit of heat. But I'm with you. I'd rather be a little bit cold than hot. But I think that's a little bit of privilege there. Never had to know. I always had. I think, like I said, my grandfather had terrible memories of the winter. I never went for no winter coat. I always had hats and gloves. I never. To me, the cold was not something that bothered me because I was always equipped to be against it. We had the bus. I never had to walk outside when it was cold. You know what I mean? So like, it don't really bother you like that.
You from a day and age where you didn't have to walk to school.
Nah, I got bused to school. So yeah.
Yeah, nah. I'm from a time you had to walk to school, man, and. And obviously you are a homegrown to this area, to the DMV. I grew up in Midwest, Northeast first, and Northwest Ohio, man. Cold.
That's a different kind of cold for sure. That's what I'm saying. I never had to do any. We were the kids where in the wintertime, the teachers, when we play football, they would be yelling at us to put our jackets back on. We were taking them winter jackets used to be big and bulky.
Yeah.
We trying to play football. We take the jackets off and be playing in like 30-degree weather. But kids, you're invincible. You don't feel that stuff.
Yeah, no, but you. And we were the same way, but the difference was it probably could have been like 24-degree weather. You know what I mean?
Nah,
like,
we not built like that. Yeah.
Like, boy, you're going to get sick. My grandma, you better put on a coat, put some on your ears. You know what I mean? Put a hat on, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man. So what we're going to talk about today, I mean, I don't know that it goes with this, but we're talking about from a sports perspective, right? Let's talk about this. So why do you suppose there's so much money in not just professional sports, but even amateur athletics, man? The NIL going on. We talk about some of these leagues and the television right contracts and the streaming contracts. We talk about the money some of these athletes are making. We talk about the cost of franchises in whatever sport. Why do you think there's so much money in sports? And then we'll contrast that with currently, our government is closed a month today. It closed October 1st. We're a month into the government shutdown, but there's obviously there's going back and forth, bickering, arguing. Each side has their perspective on things. I won't suggest leaning one way or the other as far as that is concerned. But the Government is supposed to be open for the people. I don't care what kind of partisan things we're talking about, and we'll tap into that, man. But first, because we've talked about this a little bit on some of the other couple. This is our third episode. Why do you suppose there's so much money involved in just sports in general? I mean, with even the sports betting we talked about last week, and just everything.
Well, sports is one of the few entertainment venues when you talk about tying it into streaming and broadcasting, where the audience has not shrunk over the last 10 years. When you've seen, a lot of broadcast die, a lot of TV and cable is starting to die because there's no audience. Sports has a locked in audience that's continued to grow, especially for like football and for professional football and college football. Basketball's been a little bit up and down, but it's still really, really high. And
but the viewership may be down, but they got the money for the rights.
But even though when we talk about viewership down for the NBA, you're talking about the difference between like 15 million people watching the finals versus 7 million people watching the finals. So you're still making a huge amount of money. It's just not all of the money. I think the big thing with sports and the contracts and the money that they're making is they're the only avenue in entertainment that's actually bankable. Like sports right now, we talked about the Crawford fight, how much money that made. They knew that was a huge draw, and professional sports across the board are the same. And I think that's what you're seeing. For me, the concern that I have is that it is a bubble. That, I don't think, and you can tell me what you feel about this. I don't think that the younger generations are as passionate for professional sports as maybe one generation removed from me, whereas all of this money is really big right now. What happens when the audience actually does start to shrink? What happens when, and I think that one of the things that you notice is these guys are not stupid. These owners of these big franchises, these people who control these major sports are not dumb, and they're trying to diversify the things that they offer. That's why you're seeing the huge push with the WNBA. You have they realize, okay, now we have someone we can sell. Let's see how much money we can actually make off of this. Let's see if we can grow an audience that we don't have. But I think it really just comes down to audience. Sports is watchable. Everything else, reality TV, those like even news. People are watching a lot less news than they used to watch. Sports is not like that. You're still having huge audiences for Sunday, gigantic audiences all day on Saturday. I mean, like you said, the money you see in the NIL tells you this isn't like sports is not like a bubble. It's not investment. They're putting money into something they know they're going to get a return on.
Couple of things real quick. And I agree with everything you said. I'm going to ask you a follow up, but I just wanted to say that they're currently we're week 9 or 10 of the football season. Everybody probably got about 3 or 4 games left, right? So November 1st. So yeah, everybody probably got at least 4 games left. Coaches have been fired this year. Several coaches. We know about the big names. We know about Penn State's coach James Franklin. We know about Brian Kelly at LSU. Those guys bought out for a combined $104 million. Bought out. We're giving you this money so you can go away, right?
And remember, this is really important. College football coaches at state schools are public servants
by the state.
They are paid by tax dollars. And in every state, I think this is the truth. In every state, the college football coach at a state school is the highest paid employee.
I can't say in every state, but in a lot of states, you are absolutely right.
When you talk about those big schools and the money that these programs generate, if we're signed up for capitalism, it's not unfair what they're making. They're making a percentage of what they're helping to generate.
I didn't think about it like that. This is true.
And I talked about that because you look at even like where I live. University of Maryland is not powerhouse in any sport. They really aren't. They've had a couple of really good teams, but their approach in to sports when they made their switch to the Big Ten, they took the bag, they got the TV money. That's the smartest thing they could have done. They got the money because they needed it to do all of the other stuff, you know. And yeah, they're gonna take it on. We're gonna get beat up by Big Ten teams forever, but it doesn't matter. That money is important. And to me, I'm like, I'm nothing wrong with that. If people want to pour money into liking college football, I'm all right with that. That's fine. Nobody gets hurt because of that, behind that. You know what I mean? So, and a bunch of kids get paid and kids get to go to school, and
kids always got to go to school, but is the money displaced, right? I mean, if there's money for that, to me, there should be money. Not that those guys don't deserve what they're getting. I'm just saying there's an imbalance in what we value as a national society. Let me shout out some of the people in the live chat real quick. We'll get back to the discussion. Thanks those of you that are here for tapping in on a Saturday. Our girl Afton in the building. Shout out Afton, chat general, part of the KnoItAllz.
What's up, Afton?
2 minute post game pod, 2 minute warning post game podcast. Gene Smith, the homie Jaime in the building. What up, Jaime? Lester Keys. Big G, time for some call. Big G not in the building right now, man. Big G's got done doing the college level up. Get your game day on Pick'em show. He just finished that. If you missed it, it was on like 20, 30 minutes before us. Go back and check that out. You know what I mean? Like I say, so Lester Keys. Okay. Looks like a lot of the same people comment. Homie, a Big G's in the building. Yeah, man. So, okay. Yeah, man. So like I was saying, thanks to everybody that's tapping in, watching us, checking us out on the KnoItAllz channel. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Go ahead and, rock with us. We definitely appreciate it. We're trying to offer a multitude of different shows and conversations about different things and stuff. We appreciate definitely the homie Stephen tapping in every week to share some of his thoughts, opinions, and actually just some of his intellect. Certainly appreciate you, Stephen.
Thank you.
But I was saying, man, and I don't disagree, because when you say it like you said it, and they're getting a percentage of all the money that's being made, like, you know what I mean? And if you and the better the program, the more money you're gonna make, right? So If you're a coach and you're winning, like, I mean, I don't know what Ryan Day's salary is at Ohio State, but man, he fills the horseshoe with like 107,000 people every weekend.
And Ohio State's a great example of the football team money enables everything else on the campus.
Block O, baby. Go ahead.
All of that, that money goes. Some people are getting paid, and that's cool. But also a lot of that money goes to the other sports teams on the campus. The
football
program
is the revenue driver. Yeah.
Right. Football is the revenue driver that helps that school be what it can be. So, I'm not mad at it. I agree with you. I think where I definitely agree with you is I'm a little disappointed in the audience. I'm a little disappointed in us in general that we don't value some other stuff as well. I'm not saying that you should other stuff like people who are great teachers or people who make the sacrifice to work in the public as a public servant or in local government where you're not making a lot of money, but you're just, trying to help things go through. I think if we promoted some of those, if we gave some of those people a little bit of their propers, kind of like we did during COVID, maybe when things like what we're having happen now, people would be able to,
shout out Gene. I agree with you. Big G is telling us, I know he knows, Ryan Day makes $12.5 million a year. I would say that means he's definitely the highest paid state official in the state of Ohio.
In Ohio, yeah, for sure. It can't, yeah. But
go ahead and finish your thought, man.
No, I think ultimately, where I'm disappointed is that people are unable to look away from the distractions, which is what sports are. They're a distraction. That's not a bad thing. No. We need distractions to help us get through life, but we have this problem where we have this really important thing going on and no one's looking at it. Nobody Nobody takes a break from the distraction. The distraction becomes the only thing you care about.
The homie Pay says give Snoop a raise.
What's up, Payday? How you doing?
Yeah, man. Go ahead though.
But yeah, but
Man, Jeremiah Smith, college player, makes $4 million a year from the NIL collective.
and see, for me, I don't have a problem with that at all. The
Not
players
at all.
are
No.
the players are the product. So I have reservations about. I think that as employees, they should be making a lot more when you talk about the revenue that you generate. But I think that you would have to fix a lot. I would have a problem with 18-year-olds having like tens of millions of dollars. I don't think that's a good idea. Not without any guardrails or with
Say it
any
again
education.
now. Say that part. What's that part?
I would have a big problem with all of a sudden if, let's say, in some kind of weird, bizarro alternate universe, the collegiate players unionize and they get a CBA and they start getting a real revenue share, right? The amount of money that they would make would balloon. It would be crazy. Collegiate, the NCAA, the major divisions, they generate as much money as the NFL. Those players would start making pro athlete salaries. And at 18, at 19, with no education about money and stuff like that, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should put some guardrails in place to help these guys, to save these guys from themselves. Because we already,
it's kind of been the wild, wild west, right? I mean, as far as since the NIL has become a thing, I feel like.
It has been.
I do feel like there needs to be some structure added, some guidelines put up, stuff like that. But I'm asking you, is that really only a problem with the big time college athletes? You know what I mean? Like the big recruits. I mean, because you got guys on the team that aren't getting paid much. They get a stipend still. Now, maybe a larger piece of stipend, piece of the pie, but still, still not what star players are making.
They're not making. I mean,
Millions.
the star players are making life-changing money. They're making enough money now that they don't actually have to go to the NFL.
Afton has a point. Read that comment, Steven, and address it if you would. If you have a thought.
To be fair, fully grown adults can also be awful with big money. I fully agree. And this is the point that I was going to get to, and this is where I wanted to land is I would love to see the players organize something like that. It not be something that the schools force themselves to do. The players are the ones who organize to lead to where we are with the NIL. You know, they organized that suit against EA years ago, and that actually is what led us to where we are now. I'd love to see the players step up and say, "Hey, that is." I'm sorry, Tate's comment stopped me in my tracks because he's right. Putting up guardrails is anti-capitalism. They want you to give that money back, and you're right. It is. They really do want you to immediately start spending that money back into the system. And if you educate guys, maybe they invest, they reinvest in their own communities, which that money doesn't really come back to the broader capitalist system. But that's why I'm saying I'd like to see that, because I think that it would be a great thing for guys. These guys, we give these kids don't get a lot of credit for what they've already accomplished. They're a lot smarter than anyone wants to give them credit for. No offense, pay to play is BS.
See, now I disagree with that, because you mentioned the amount of money these programs make, right? The amount of money college football makes, and it's not I wouldn't call it slave labor, but to only give kids a scholarship, like you can go to school here for free, just play football for us and help our program make $150 million a season. We're going to sell your number 4 jersey, Jeremiah Smith, and put it in college athletic video games and stuff. And we're going to make the players' attributes like your jersey number 4 is going to be a beast, and you're not going to get a piece of that. So, I mean, I think there needs to be regulation, perhaps, but pay makes a good argument too. I mean, there wasn't any regulation on Zuckerberg when he was young and created Facebook, right? I mean, you didn't say, "Oh, Zuckerberg, you're too young. You only make this much money." There wasn't a cap on that. I mean, so your thoughts first on Gene's comment, be paid to play being BS. Your thought on that, and your thought on anything else we've just talked about in the last 60 seconds.
Well, I wholly disagree with Gene's comment. No disrespect to Gene, but the NIL system existed in the shadows for decades.
Yeah,
so
it was illegal. Right.
it was the idea. The money was there. That's why it was so easy to make it, to transition it to for it to be legal and out in the open, because these systems already existed, and they just existed outside of the rules. I when you think about guys like Maurice Claret, what almost happened to Reggie Bush, no, I disagree. These guys need to be paid. And if you don't pay him, fine. Let's say we don't pay him, right? Okay, then no one can make any profit off of the money that's generated by these schools. That money needs to go back into the schools, and it needs to go back into the states that the schools that the schools reside in, that they're generating the money for. Because the alternative is, remember, the money doesn't go away. The money still exists. It just goes into someone else's hands that doesn't play the sport or isn't involved in the product that's ending up on the field.
This is true.
So I have a major problem with that. I mean,
you can have the president of a university give himself a bump in pay because our football team
won, and like, you didn't have anything to do with that, man. Well, you run the school, so you allow these people to do their job, but like, come on, let's be honest here. Like, no, I will agree. There are problems with the NIL, and it will create problems that we may not be able to see right now. But the alternative was garbage. It just was. The idea that I'm gonna give you my body for 4 years, I might not even get it back out of that 4 years. I may actually sacrifice my body to you, and you get paid $1 billion, and I get an education.
And even then, those scholarships are at will. They're year to year. If we bring you in and you're a 5-star recruit in high school, you're a baller, we give you a scholarship, and after year 1 or 2, we don't think you're performing what we thought you were. Bye-bye, kid.
Bye.
Bye-bye, kid. We're going to yank your scholarship.
All that stuff we told you and your parents in your kitchen, we was joking about that. We only meant that if he was actually good.
Right. Hey, go ahead and read the homie Pay's comment real quick.
Okay, Payday said, if they actually wanted you to be smart with your money, then money management would be a requirement in junior high. Well, I think I agree with that to an extent, but I think that's a lot more loaded than, there's a lot of layers to that. You know, one of the things people talk about, that home economics being removed from schools, but the major reason home economics was removed from schools is because it was kind of like, you know, it was basically like gender, I
think it was sexist.
It was sexist.
I mean,
we weren't teaching everybody at school how to take care of the home. They were teaching the girls how to take care of the home. So,
well, no, I had home ec, but it's because I chose home ec. Really, the guys were steered, because I had it earlier too. I had both at one time. Industrial arts was the way they steered the guy to some type of trade or something like that. But see, I'm in school way before you. Like, I mean, you're older now. I mean,
So I had home ec in junior high. I did, but it was an elective course, and our elective courses were joke classes. Our normal classes were 2 hours long. Our electives were 30 minutes once every 2 weeks. So it wasn't like, it was clear that wasn't a priority. You know, they just wanted us to not, they wanted to say, okay, we're teaching the kids different stuff. But no, I agree they should teach it in school, but then you'd have to have some type of agreement about how money should be managed. You know what I'm saying? And it goes, but no, you want to do Big Sean's?
In any other business, the more you make the company, the more they pay you. Why not college football? I don't disagree.
I actually think that the NIL is working, and we're seeing that happen. You're seeing the money, guys who can generate, guys who are going to help fill up the stadium, whether they're good or not, Arch Manning, are going to get good NIL deals. You know what I mean? They're going to get big money, and it may not be an exact representation of their value, right? But it's better than it was before, for sure. And they're definitely moving in the right direction, I think.
Lester Keys sounds like to me a strictly college football comment. If you're 8-0, when you want to be ranked in the top 3. Everybody can't be ranked in the top 3, and everybody. I think more needs to go into strength of schedule. You could be 8-0 and play some cupcakes. You know what I mean?
Are we talking about Navy? Or are we talking about who are we talking about? What
I
team?
don't know who we're talking about, but I mean, it could be more than one 8-0 team is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, for sure.
And everybody can't be.
And you're right. Strength of schedule now means everything because there's only what 3 conferences that actually have,
Jaime Carlo agrees with pay. Gene Smith says high school football players already are getting paid, but are they getting paid their worth? And I'm not a proponent of high school players getting paid, but if we talk about the rationale behind NIL and their college athletes, I mean, when I was in high school, I went to school with my homie Greg Simpson. He was Mr. Basketball in the state of Ohio. He was actually Big Ten Freshman of the year after Chris Webber won it, and he won 2-time Ohio Mr. Basketball at the time before LeBron James. The only person that had done that was Jim Jackson, and the gymnasium used to sell out every week, no matter the game. He was a big proponent in that, right? A big, huge part of that. He was a McDonald's All-American, and it was crazy to go to a basketball game back then because you have this guy that's putting butts in seats, but he's not getting like a check from it or any piece of that pie. You know what I mean? So high school players don't always get paid. Let's see. Gavin Anthony says, pay when I was in high school, we had an online money management course, nothing in middle school though. Yeah. When I was in junior high, in high school, there was no online. And we didn't have those things.
So yeah, but when I got to high school, there was no like home management classes or anything like that. We had like health and stuff like that. So
yeah, we had all those classes, but no, it was like, I mean, and then man, let's transition a little bit to, we talked about the government, and they have been for a while, the removal, we talk about classes of civics.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I gotta say I don't support that at all, because I've talked to some people that are a lot younger than me, and their understanding of how the government works is crazy to me. Like, because I took civics in elementary school, middle school, and then we had it freshman year of high school. We had which it was basically civics, U.S. government. Yeah. It wasn't U.S. history; it was U.S. government. I think it's a joke to think that people are going to teach their kids how the government works. They don't even understand how the government works themselves. So
this is true.
Education has to be something that fills the holes that society can't. If we have public education, it has to be able to fill the holes, teach kids stuff that you just can't get on the streets or from your parents organically, right? You're not going to learn about how the government functions. And if you don't know how the government functions, you can't be an effective citizen. You can't be a well-informed voter if you don't know how the system actually works. What was I missed Afton's comment? What was that one? Civics is part of American government in our school, 12th grade required class. Good. And
some places it still exists. It really does. I mean,
I know
I had civics in high school. I didn't have it in elementary and junior high like you did. We had, it's not civics though, but I think in social studies you learned some things about some of that stuff.
I mean, where my best friend, his wife is a teacher in Jersey, and she was a science teacher, and now she teaches history because they got rid of the science courses that she taught.
But so why is that? Why are we getting rid of things that can make people more enlightened and just broaden their horizon? Why is that a thing?
I think one of it is one thing is we're starting to look, which is not now, but we're starting to look more like China did in the 90s, where they were trying to kind of it looked like they were almost industrializing the workforce, or how they grew their workforce. We want people to know how to do a certain thing. It's China, a bad idea. Yeah.
In China, interjection. No Diddy. In China, in the 90s, there was more of a manufacturing side to the workforce, industrial side to the workforce. Not so much now. robots and things are taking over jobs.
That's what I was saying. China is actually now starting to look more like the U.S. did in the early 2000s. They're starting to put a lot of their investment in technology and healthcare advancements and stuff like that. We did too, Afton. We actually did. We did too. Not most of us. I didn't turn 18 before I graduated. So I didn't get to take advantage of that, but that was a thing that was offered. You could get extra credit for your history class if you registered to vote. But I think the broader thing that we have to talk about, like even if we tie it into the shutdown now, if you're not teaching how the government works, then you have people who are listening to what's being told on TV, what's being put out, and they're just believing it. And you have conversations with people where they think, okay, this is why the government is shut down. Okay, no, you don't understand that there's a controlling party and a minority party. The minority party cannot do anything. They do not control any of the day-to-day business in the government when you're in the minority. All you do for the minority is vote and have committee seats.
In the minority in all three aspects of the of the House, the Congress.
So and that, to me, that should be something that's really easy to understand. One group is in control. They are responsible for the things that are happening. And they literally...
That's not for you, Stephen.
Oh.
For Rory.
That's Rory. Okay. Rory got the coming in.
And welcome. If you're not early, you're late. And when you're late, you're super late. But we're just having discussion about NIL.
And you missed it. You could have given us great insight. Somebody was talking about high school players getting paid, and you're in Dallas. Come on, man.
Yeah. So have you heard any of this since you showed up? Before you showed up?
No. I heard some of it, but am I slow?
No. I mean,
no, you're good.
Okay. I think. Well, players aren't allowed to take any money right now. They can kind of sign contracts for the future, supposedly.
What's that look like?
I mean, I've seen people just straight up getting money from colleges, right? I mean, one of the best wrestlers in the USA, Bo Bassett, he got like a $6 million, I think, agreement from. Originally he was going to go to, I think, Iowa. And then he was like, God told me to go somewhere else. Now I think he's going to Nebraska. So if he was getting $6 million from Iowa, he's definitely getting more than $6 million to go to Nebraska.
And he can only sign that after he agrees to commit, or he can sign that agreement at any time.
It's waiting on him, right? It's waiting on him. The money's waiting on him.
Oh, so you could theoretically, I could come to a 15-year-old kid and be like, man, you're good. Yeah, I got this $2 million contract waiting for you at LSU when you know what I mean? Like,
you can do that part.
Okay. Maybe that's not okay.
I think it'd be a problem if you pay the kid the money before he's actually like be able to be under NIL agreement out of high school.
You sign a contract until you're 18, right? So.
But their revenue streams are from other places now. So some of these kids have like
endorsement deals.
They have endorsement deals. They have streaming application. They have podcasts. They have, they just have other income streams to get money. They and they just endorse things. And I know they're getting cash in other ways now already, but they cannot get the actual, big dollars from universities until they actually get.
Big G says Ohio high school passed NIL in 2025. Steven, go ahead and read Pay's comment, man.
Tate says, ask Nixon. Nixon started a secret war against education because of protests, and every party of his since then has pulled funding from liberal arts and public schools. Thinking outside the box equals bad. Yeah, Nixon did had a war against any liberal thinkers, and that's really, and it wasn't even like liberal thinkers, because liberalism didn't really. In the modern sense, it didn't really exist. Progressivism in that era was just like, we should let people have human rights and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't really that deep. But yeah, Nixon pretty much was at a war against anybody who was smart, because for him, smart people were hippies and beatniks, and they were the people who were wrecking his country and making it difficult for him to to run his country. I mean, Nixon had so many other problems, though. Man, that we could do a whole series on Nixon and his effect on this country. But no, I agree. I agree. Everything you're saying, everything we've saying ties back in. Dumb people are good for, big corporations and stuff like that.
Are they? I mean, I'd rather say ignorant people more than dumb, because to say dumb to me, you're speaking to someone's capacity to learn versus what they've learned.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It really is. You're not dumb. You're not dumb if you're not given a chance to learn anything.
Right. I disagree with so many of the sports takes on like quarterbacks, and they talk about like this guy can't mentally process this or that, and it's typically
black quarterbacks. Like they tried to say about Lamar Jackson, he's not smart enough to play quarterback. Won MVP his second season in the league. His second season starting. Yeah,
maybe his third season.
Yeah. He's not a passer. Led the league in touchdowns and passes. Come on, man. Like,
but no, it's a thing, and I shy away from that because I can't question anybody's mental processing because I don't know what they've learned.
No, you're right.
You got some guys that, as far as the quarterback position goes, they go to programs in school that have VR goggles with their run plays and defenses at you and all kind of stuff. Not everybody's getting that level of learning, right? Go ahead, Roy. You're in Texas. Does your high school use VR goggles to train quarterbacks?
Man, we barely pay the teachers here.
We talked about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the kids aren't getting. I think this is by design. I mean, I tell everyone, I think the greatest equalizer on earth is public education. The greatest equalizer. I mean, kids come out of public school and they can compete against the kids who've been, given $50,000 a year education. And that in itself is the success of public education. But I know it's under siege right now because of those same, successes. Yes, the same successes that have allowed people to have upward mobility is going to be the same thing that, like, if you are a rich person, imagine if your daddy wore bucks and, you've paid for your kid to go to school, elite schools, $80,000 a year, $100,000 a year, whatever it is, from grade kindergarten to high school, right? And your kid, after all that, can get a 1,200 in the SAT, right? Kid's an straight A student. Here comes a public school kid, who's had every challenge thrown at him, and because of education, here they are acing the SAT.
I bet one of you guys know about that book. But go ahead, Roy.
But I'm just saying, based just on that, are you and now that same kid from wherever, the poor kid, is now getting admitted to Harvard.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, and your kid cannot get into Harvard. Now, what do you do? What do you like? I think it's a whole system that we don't realize at play, and I just feel as though public education, you see it across the country. You don't have the right to teach my kid this, and education has been like diluted left and right.
Yeah,
that means something.
What I mean, it's been a minute ago. What was the thing at the time about them removing certain books in Texas and Texas, Florida, and
the entire South.
That was the movement that started a little bit before COVID. The movement against critical race theory, something that the people who use that as like a buzzword, they don't even know what it means, but they started removing books because they feel that the books are telling the truth about, I can't even say it with a straight face. I can't even say their side of it with a straight face because it's such bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. They're basically saying things like teaching the actual history of the Confederacy is bad because it makes them look bad.
It makes
I don't want to say it makes white people. It makes white people feel bad about being white. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's so absurd. But
have you guys heard of the book The Smartest Kids in the World?
I have not.
No, I've never heard that.
I do have a question directly for Afton, though. Afton's in education, and I've been talking about this with my friends because I draw it back even further. To me, the assault on public education in this country started with No Child Left Behind, which got passed while I was in high school. I mean, it was when you talk about No Child Left Behind basically robbed teachers of their ability to do their job. And it took as a country, we said, okay, instead of measuring students and figuring out if students are learning, we're going to measure the teachers and then hold the schools responsible if the teachers don't test, if the kids don't test well and the teachers don't test well. It was literally a bill designed to destroy public education, to not destroy public education, but rob teachers of their autonomy, of their ability to do their jobs. They wanted to be able to say, we're going to tell you what you can teach people. And it goes to what Rory said, because, and I know this because this is a generation that raised me. That's all I was told. Go to school, go to school, public school is fine. You're going to learn. You'll get out and you'll have the same opportunities as long as you work hard. If you take that away from everybody, now what Rory says is true. Now you have to have $50,000 to be able to learn anything. You know, it's frustrating because it's like when you finally realize it's like there's nothing I could have done to stop any of this. You know, a lot of it is like a lot of like my reflection now is, how did my generation fail in this? Did we do a bad job of selling?
What generation are you?
I'm millennial. I think I am literally the definitive millennial. I was born in '86. So I had a big chunk of childhood where technology was not, you know, as pervasive as it is now. And I also lived through the internet bubble and the technology revolution. So it's like, it's different from the Zoomers who they grew up on the internet. You know what I mean? My generation watched the internet culture grow into what it is. There's a huge difference. There's a big chunk. I think the big difference is my generation doesn't find, most of us, I'm not going to say all of us, my generation doesn't necessarily find value in your online persona. It's fun. You have an online persona, but we don't actually find any actual value in it. Whereas a younger generation, they find intrinsic value in how they're perceived online and how they move around and the things they do online. It's a huge gap because what that essentially does is it warps how, not warps, I don't want to say warps, it makes how you perceive reality, what things are real. It changes that dramatically, in my opinion. My school graduate kids who can't read, yeah, that's No Child Left Behind, because you can't fail kids. And the failure in the class is not what measures whether or not they're allowed to move on. It's a standardized test that tells you it's insanity. I'm sorry.
Rory, you've been involved in high school education for a long time now. Mm-hmm. I remember back in your early days of teaching, you taught up in Baltimore. Some of the stuff the kids up in Baltimore would say, I just found like, I can't believe the kids said that. You know what I mean? I do. But so what do you think about, is that a thing? Like kids can graduate without being able to read? Aren't there those proficiency tests still? Like, yeah. I mean, like,
I'm sure there's places that it happens. I mean, no place I've ever been is going to allow a kid to graduate if they don't know how to read and write. But I have to assume that I'm down here in Texas, and I know for sure that football is king. And there are kids who, if they've been playing football since they've been in middle school, because they had middle school football down here, I can almost guarantee those kids getting pushed through. I can almost guarantee it. So
there are two kids I grew up with. I'm not naming no names. I have no idea how they graduated high school. I went to school with them all throughout my life. These are people I knew, right? There's one dude who we were in the 6th grade and it was clear he could not read. And it was like the next year he was in 7th grade with us. And it's like, all right, what sport did he play? He played basketball. He was like, imagine in elementary school, you got a kid that's like 5'10", he was tall. You know, he's like 6'4" now, but he was tall. He played basketball, but we were in elementary school, Kevin. Like,
did you go to school? Did you go to school with Kevin Durant?
No.
Don't try to get names.
So no. Okay, I will say this. This is cool. I told Kevin this. Kevin Durant used to work out. His coach used to bring him to Seat Pleasant Community Center to do his homework and play basketball in the gym. I did play basketball with him a couple of times, but like it was all the kids that would go there. I used to go with my stepfather. My stepfather would go work out and I would play basketball. And he was one of the kids in the gym that would play basketball. So I played a couple of pickup games and he was in the games. But he's younger than me.
Yeah, he's a couple years younger than you. I met
he's
Kevin
younger than me.
At Capitol Heights at the run and shoot. He was actually the summer his grade get drafted working out. I was coaching, the community. I was coaching the Fountain Club. We had a community basketball team.
Yeah, I remember running shoot too.
Yeah. So we had a game there. We had a league. I was a Fountain Club coach at the time. But and we went there and Kevin Durant was there working out, and I knew who he was. He played at Texas that one year, and I talked to him for like about 30 seconds, you know what I mean? But nice young man at the time. His KD is KD, but yeah, I mean, so he's like everybody knows, right? He's just a hooper. And it's been said, like, he don't care about none of the other stuff. He just want to get buckets and hoop,
I think he's a fan of the ladies too. I think that's one thing we can agree that he liked the ladies too, for sure.
I don't know about that, but
that's the only other thing that you can like. Kevin's right. He don't be into nothing. He don't really.
No, like at the time, my dude Jeff, shout out Jeff. I ain't seen you in years. When I used to live over there in New Carrollton, I used to cut my hair right down there by remember where the Value City Furniture was, Stephen, right there on.
Yeah. My couch, I got my couch from there actually.
Yeah, well, that my barbershop was in that plaza, but like Mike Beasley used to go there. My barber was friends with these guys. Mike Beasley, Kevin Durant, Grievous Vasquez played at Maryland.
Did he cut Gil? Did Gil get it? Did he cut Gil's hair?
Gil
Arenas. Yeah, because Arenas lived in the area when he lived out from Marlboro.
Yeah, he did, but no, I'm not saying he cut Clippers hair, but he did live in the area. But no, I don't know. He didn't. Not that I know.
It just seemed like he was cutting all the hoopers. So
because he grew up with him.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
yeah. But yeah, man. So the kid 6'4" got pushed. Do you have any contact with him now?
Yeah, actually, a lot of regular contact. He's one of them flat earther people.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of the juxtaposition, like the other person is just like extremely pious. Like that's the offset to I never learned anything, which that's a problem, man. I think what's worse is that if you go on that long and you don't know any of these things and you start to, like I said, he's a flat earther. So you start to tip on the other end where you get so confident in yourself that it doesn't matter that you don't know things.
Yeah, that happens because you've always been coddled and pushed along and led to believe that this athleticism and what you do in that isn't fleeting when learning is forever. Big G says he was diagnosed with dyslexia his freshman year of college. He was an athlete. Big G went to school to play football, but that's obviously something you can learn with. I don't think we went to school together, but I don't think you got like pushed through and you were failing classes. You passed your class. Theo, shout out Michael Jamal Warner, R.I.P. In Bill Cosby, the Cosby Show had dyslexia, and you can. There are methods to deal with that, right?
There is for sure. But I know, even now I have students who have dyslexia, and I have one student who got diagnosed, and I had to I was like pushing. I was like, this kid is smart, you know what I'm saying? But then just what his product is not the best, and I was like trying to figure it out. I was like, I don't get it. I could ask this kid questions of things that we've done, like what happens, and this kid could tell me. But then it's like, write it down. He couldn't write it down. I was like, uh-oh. I was like, something's wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like he's not intelligent. This kid's super intelligent, and that's dyslexia is a whole nother beast. But it's a matter of learning figuring out how to learn and what tools you can use in order to get you to give the product.
I think the bigger point about what Big G was saying is that he went all the way through his entire schooling and never got diagnosed, which that does suck because I have ADD, but I was diagnosed when I was 8 years old. One of my teachers noticed that I was acting different. And it's the same thing Rory said. She told my parents, Stephen is really smart, but he doesn't pay attention. He finishes stuff fast, but then he'll like do stuff. And I got, they sent me to the doctors and they diagnosed me. And because of that, I was able to have the resources I needed to make it through school. I probably would have not graduated if I never got diagnosed. But like I said, like dyslexia and ADD are actually in the same family. And like my father has dyslexia. And I can only imagine how hard it is like to get through all of school, not understanding what's happening when you're trying to read stuff. Like that's, yeah. Wow. At 29?
Women are always diagnosed with different things later.
That's insane.
Part of the mix. Yeah.
Because it seems like, okay. So
women, I think women have better coping mechanisms. I think.
So specifically to what
it shows out more in males.
I just think certain things show out in males.
Men are super hyperactive.
Women are able to theorize through things and find ways to cope, find ways to do this. But then later on, they get diagnosed, and it's like they're like, "Oh, this is why I had. Oh, this is what I mean." I just think it's the women just have a better. I guess all the testosterone causes men to, manifest more things at the same time as the, whatever.
The hyperactivity is definitely more prevalent in boys than it is in girls. I grew up with when I went to elementary school, there were 3 other kids that had ADD. We all had to go to the lunchroom.
I just want to say this because this is that negative stereotype, right? When I was in school, and I'm talking elementary, my elementary years started kindergarten or first grade was like 78. You know what I mean? So I'm going through elementary school 78 through 84, right? And those kids you're talking about, like, attention deficit disorder kids, and they grouped them all in one class and they called it learning disability class, like as if they were stereotyped, they were put in a room, they were separate from other kids. It just was like a bad thing, but it was an old thing, right? Like we didn't know, or they didn't know. Of course, I didn't know. I was a kid, but we used to make fun of them. Like, like the learning disability, they labeled it LD. And like kids are mean, right? Like they can't remember what they said LD stood for. Something like losing dummy or something like that. Like something really mean.
So I can give you a lot of insight because I was in elementary school. I was diagnosed with this thing. I had to go to the lunchroom. I had to go before lunch. I had to go to the nurse and get my medicine and take it. Right. It was very, very different in the 90s. When the first doctor that I went to, the pediatrician that I went to was a specialist in kids with ADD. And the way that it happened for me, Kevin, it never felt like a crutch to me because in the first grade, I was put in accelerated kid in talented and gifted courses. The program is called TAG as a first grader. So I already felt like I felt like I was a smart kid. I got diagnosed with ADD later. And the way
I worked with you for years. You're smart. You had to be a smart kid. You're a smart adult, but I could tell working with you for years, you're a hyper fuck.
Yeah, I have because I would get working with Kevin. Kevin would see me every 20 minutes. I'd get up and walk around, and that's so that I don't run up the walls. But as a kid, my doctor explained it to me. He's like, attention deficit disorder is an obstacle, but it unlocks a lot of things that we don't really understand. But a lot of people who have attention deficit disorder are really, really smart and creative. He was telling me all these people who had it, like Leif Erikson and stuff like that. So as a kid, I'm thinking this thing it's a crutch or it's a disability, but it's what makes me smart. So like it's to me, I always rationalize it as, okay, God didn't want me to be like a super villain, so he had to give me something he made me lazy so that I wouldn't become a super villain or something. But I never got bullied for that. I got bullied. All the kids get bullied, but I never got bullied for that. That's not, it was different stuff. You know, I was short and small and stuff. That's what I got made fun of for. But
hey, do one of you guys the acronym Afton has used a couple of times, DXD? What that's
Diagnosed.
Diagnosed.
Okay.
Yeah, so Afton specifically, I have that's happened in my family. Not, I won't go specifically, but I have close relative who very clearly has ADD, and his parents they were in denial. They just refuse to even like, it's a thing that was like, hey, maybe he has this. I have that. He's kind of a lot like me. And they're just like, no, that's not a thing. We're going, a lot of wild stuff.
And you know the weird thing. So Big G saying my oldest daughter has some diagnosis and has a master's degree and works on a PhD. And she grew up with with an inclusion model throughout her education process. And the weird thing is that I agree with Afton, but I also see parents want to get their kids diagnosed too now, just to get their kid the extra help that they might be needing at that moment. So it's all depends on the parent, definitely, for sure. But I would say probably 50% are like, they see a diagnosis as
also I think and they look at what happened in the 90s. All the kids in the 90s, and I was one of them, we got medicated. And parents don't want to drug their kids up. And there's that negative stigma that if my kid has ADHD, they're gonna put them on pills.
Ritalin?
Yeah, I took pretty much all of them. I was diagnosed right at the beginning of that wave. So I had to take a bunch of different medicines because like they stopped prescribing Ritalin because it was being abused and stuff. And it was like a scourge. Drug dealers were trying to get into stuff like that. So it was like that. As a kid, you're just taking a pill and you don't know that people are abusing it, and then you can't take it anymore. But I think now it's very different. I have a friend who his daughter was diagnosed. She's not on medicine. They just changed her diet. There's different approaches to things. I think the biggest thing for me is, as a kid, I always felt like that, where I told you, when working with Kevin, if I'm in the office and I'm sitting at a desk, I have to get up frequently because I get restless. As a kid, you can't do that. And it was never, I don't need to take medicine. All I need to do is get up and move a little bit.
I'm not seeing Stephen get up from his office to go. I don't know but we're sitting there because we worked in marketing, creative space, fun space. Like we had a real cool space back then.
We had a very fun space.
But like we had couches and big screen TVs up. We sit at the beginning of the day and brainstorm for a half hour and talk about what are we gonna do today. It was like a free spirited work environment. But so we worked at this station, like how the workstation with the table, shared desk, but with sectioned off. Steven sat across from me, and like he said, every 20 minutes he'd get up and walk around. Like the office was like the Beltway, right? A circle all around our office floor. Steven would get up and walk around at least 2 times an hour, just to reset. Or
that is literally all I need. At 39, I know I don't need a pill for that. All I need to do is get up, and I need to get up in the morning and exercise. And throughout the day, I can't let myself get restless. I have to get up and move as soon as I get restless, and I'll be fine. My mind won't race. I'll be able to pay attention to people. And for me, that it hurts because it's like, man, they put me on medicine and I didn't need that. All I needed to do was be allowed to get up and walk around outside the room for 10 minutes, and I would have been fine. You know what I mean? I'm not mad at it because now they know that works, and they take the sugar out of kids' diets. They don't have, like my friend, his daughter, they don't have her she's not on that all in processed foods and stuff like that. They have her playing sports and stuff. So she's she's on a routine is what I needed. That is all you need some people need. You can't, it's not one size fits all. But yeah, my kid was on methylphenidate, and it turned him into a giant a-hole. After that, he refused all meds. So after something similar happened to me, I got put on Concerta, and I could not sleep, and my doctor ignored me. My senior year of high school, I came into my senior year with like a 4.5 grade point average. I was killing it my junior year. And my senior year, my doctor would not prescribe me the medicine I was taking. It was another instance where the medicine that I was taking was being abused. And when I went to her, she made an assumption that I think she thought that I was addicted to it or something, but no, it was just the medicine that I was taking. She stopped prescribing it to me. She put me on a new medicine and I couldn't sleep. And it kind of like wrecked most of the beginning of my senior year of high school, because I couldn't I was falling asleep in classes. I was messing up real bad in some of the stuff I was doing. And I was like, all right, I'm never taking another pill for this ever again. I said, I can sit down and talk to somebody about it, but I don't trust them. I don't trust anything they have to say about it. So I understand it.
It's been a great discussion. We'll get ready to wrap it up because college football starts in 10 minutes. Ohio State plays Penn State. So real quick, what do you guys think? Because we opened the show talking about the money in athletics. It transitions to NIL. It transitions to kids getting pushed through. It transitions like all over the place. What do you guys briefly? Don't get too partisan about anything. But what do you guys think about the shutdown and how it's affecting the culture? It's affecting people. We talk about people's ignorance, Stephen. It's affecting people that don't even know that it's going to affect them. Right?
Yep. I think that's my biggest takeaway right now is that this is the first time during a shutdown where a bunch of people that are about to be affected by it, they don't seem to understand how it's going to affect them. They have no understanding of why it's happening and who can fix it. And I think that this is a, it's a preview to worse to come, because there's bigger arguments there are bigger debates to be had than just the Affordable Health Care Act. There's much bigger arguments to have. And I'm concerned going into an election year with an electorate that seems to be completely ignorant.
What's your thoughts, Rory?
I mean, I'm afraid of the United States right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not in regards to the people as individuals, but as these masses of groups, and I'm really afraid of what's gonna happen. I hate to say it, but I see our society just like becoming just two sides of like boom boom, and on one side there's all these things going on, and I don't know how you can be associated with what's transpiring, the treatment of immigrants, the treatment of naturalized citizens, the treatment of permanent residents. People don't want to invest in the United States, like the South Koreans who are coming over to help build up U.S. industry, to train U.S. workers, and they all got arrested and put in camps and beaten and told to beg for water. And now South Korea is like pulling all their funding from billions of dollars. I just don't know how you are okay with that. But I mean, that's
what about right here? I mean, all of that's right here, obviously. But like, as far as it pertains to American citizens that are accepted as American citizens, like the whole, the health insurance stuff.
It's going to go up. Like, how do you not know that your insurance is going to go up exponentially? Like, how do you not know? Like, how do you not advise yourself and say, okay, if these policies go through, my insurance is going to go from, I don't know, $700 a month to $2,000 plus a month. How do you not know this stuff? How do you like have such a tunnel vision that you don't see that happening or know that's going to happen in the future? I don't know. To me, it's very weird.
Shout out to the homie Rob Lightfoot. Rob, man, they killing me. I'm a double amputee on a fixed income. I need my SNAP benefits. Man, yeah, Rob. I mean, praying for you, man. Shout out they get this thing figured out and stuff. Because man. I mean, and you obviously, man, it sounds like you served, man. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, Stephen, I read yesterday, saw the news that. Well, wait,
can I interject? Have you seen the U.S. soldiers right now are at food pantries? U.S. soldiers. Soldiers. I mean, like right now they're already at, and some of them are getting evicted from their homes because soldiers, unfortunately, they're young. They don't know how to use their money. They don't have to push their money wisely, and some of them have $2,000 car notes and blah, blah, blah.
They big on those. They big on those 38% interest chargers and stuff like that.
A lot of those soldiers right now are at food pantries because of their budgeting of their money. They don't have money right now. They have no savings. That's just soldiers. That's just the soldiers. I couldn't imagine, I don't know. So like something like Rob says, I mean, and people have benefits because they need them, because they see people working, because of the previous administrations, people are working and on, SNAP, and they need both. They need both. They're working and they're on SNAP. And so if you take that SNAP away and they're working, like, what do you, that was their deal, right? Like, you work, we'll make sure we help you out with SNAP. That was the deal. Yeah. And they're working. And now you're going to take their SNAP away from them, or you're going to, we have $40 billion for Argentina. We have $40 billion for Argentina.
Point this out for all those, them thoughts and prayers they be sending. The biggest group of individuals on SNAP is children. It's 30% children.
I was going to say, right,
SNAP are children.
Right here, Stephen, in Prince George's County, the county you live in. I'm right next door. Used to live there, but is 48,000 children are affected in Prince George's County. 48,000 children.
And that's like, I'm sorry, but I can't, after COVID, I can't think no other way. If you just give people what they need, they will be cool. If you give people a check and give them access to food, they will take care of themselves. Why is this such a hard thing for people to understand? Like, we need to just do basic income, period. There just should be basic income. Shit works when people have money. The end.
That will conclude today's show. It's been a great discussion. We'll pick up some of this stuff on future episodes, man, because it's actually quite interesting, man. The different perspectives and the live chat chiming in, and people like Afton and Rob sharing so much stuff of their own stuff.
Shout out to Payday, Big Sean, Big G.
Yeah, everybody, man. You and Rory too, man. I mean, man, great. Rory, do you guys watch the next Netflix show, The Diplomat?
I have
watched that one.
It's an amazing show. I'm getting ready to
about season 2?
Season 3 is what I'm getting ready to start. Season 2
is there 3 seasons. I just finished watching season 3. You're right.
Season 2 is a powder keg. You know what I mean? Season 1 is a powder keg. And season 3, I'm like, I'm looking forward to it.
I only asked that because it is a really good show.
Yeah.
And Stephen, you hear about great shows every week now from me and Rory.
Right, yeah. I'm gonna add that one.
And now, Rory, you remind me of the assistant prime minister. you know the
okay, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the black guy, the bald head, and the British accent.
Yeah.
I was like, he reminds me of Rory. But yeah, with that being said, man, football kicks off in 2 minutes. We're gonna get out of here. We'll be back next Saturday with Jag, just a guy, me, my 2 geniuses, my homies Stephen and Rory. Until next week, peace out. We appreciate you.
Au revoir.
Let's go.
Mamba out.
Y'all come back now. Here